Excuse me. What in the world are you thinking?
Mean Gene, the first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I gotta say.
Oh, Tony. Hi, what up, y'all? It's KMB, the Sexy Ninja, in the place to be for a Paper Saber universe, and this is the New World Podcast. We're going to talk about Collision, April 6, 2024. It aired late at night because of the whole March Madness stuff and everything like that. So this was a pre-tape show, so I already know most of the outcome, but I wanted to see if there's any little nuggets thrown in between that was worthwhile writing down. And plus, too, you know, it's my wrestling time and my AEW time. So, but out of the headlines out of this whole thing, the Young Bucks, it was announced that they have unseen footage that they will show next Wednesday on Dynamite from All In London. And I believe this is in response to the CM Punk interview, saying everything that happened with Perry and everything like that, and Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, whatever you want to call him, and all that drama. And Tony's fear for his life comments and everything like that. So I am like, yes, Punk said what he said. He wasn't talking shit. He just said, this is what happened. I told him I was going to handle it if he doesn't handle it himself. And he probably ain't going to like how I handle it as well. He told, you know, that's his side of the story. He says, yeah, this is what happened, you know. And I got in a skirmish with the Jungle Boy. So, but now there's unseen footage. What is this unseen footage? Is it going to be stupid? Like, not really anything, but it is going to be like, everyone's going to go, oh, I got to tune into Dynamite. So I was like, this is just a ratings, like, catfish type thing. And either it's going to be like, oh, that's crazy, or, oh, that's stupid. But the Young Bucks are presenting it. Because they have problems with Mr. CM Punk, as reported. CM Punk has a way of doing business. They didn't like that. So, you know, it's just crazy how this just keeps unfolding. And the catfish thing of this next Dynamite is like, what is the unseen footage that the Young Bucks are going to release? So we shall see. We started out with FTR versus Top Flight. I already said it on the Dynamite review that FTR got the win. So the story we're telling here is, yes, whoever wins this match between the Young Bucks and FTR will be the three-time AEW Tag Team Champion. I was like, you know, we could have got some young blood, but that's the story you want to tell. That's the story you want to tell. But this was a fun match in Top Flight. I hope they get more props later on down the road on, like, just not more props, but they were, you know, I made more of a push because I think Top Flight is a great tag team. We got an Okada package, narrated by Nigel and written, and I think directed too, by the Young Bucks. So fun little stuff. Pac, that bastard, versus Encore Moon. Don't know who that is, but Squash Gang. Pac got the win, cuts a promo after, calls out Okada and says, I will wait for my response. So we know we're going to get those two at Dynasty, April 21st. Renee's with Bryan Danielson, asking him, like, how's he feel with his match, the big match with Will Ospreay at Dynasty. And Bryan just puts it down like this. He's like, hey, man, you know, I've been doing this for so long. I've been grinding, and I want to be the best wrestler in the world. And every person I face, this is because I love the business. I'm not wrestling for the fans. I'm wrestling for myself and see what I can put myself through. And Will is that top tier that he needs to go and get over. You know, so it's going to be a battle between these two. And I like what Bryan said. And he's like, I'm not doing this for the fans. I'm doing this for me. It's my final year, man. And it's kind of crazy that he's going to end his wrestling career at AEW. But he has had some of the best matches, you know, in the world on AEW. So I cannot wait for Will and Bryan to tear it up. Jarrah Hook, that's what they're calling themselves. Terrible. Versus Shane Taylor Promotions. I don't care. Jericho and Hook got the win, and out of nowhere, Anthony Ogogo comes in, starts swinging on Jericho. I was like, at first I was like, who? I was like, oh, Anthony Ogogo, who? And the commentators are like, where have you been? Where has he been? Oh, I was like, But I guess he's part of the Shane Taylor Promotions now. Shane Taylor pulls out a flag. They lay it on Jericho. And that's it. that I was just like, okay, whatever, man. Dustin Rhodes promo talks about he's never had the big one. He's never had the championship. 36 years in this business. Sounds, like, I guess, Tony's like, hey, they got their roads. I got my roads as well. And this Dustin Rhodes challenges Joe for the championship, I believe, next Wednesday on Dynamite. Very passionate promo. Nothing but love for Dustin Rhodes. But we know that's not going to end well. We know Joe's going to kill Dustin. I don't see him beating Joe, but Joe does respond later on in the show. Renee's with Will Ospreay backstage, and he's sitting down. I'm standing here with Will, and Will's like, I'm sitting. But he's going on about his match with Bryan. He's like, yeah, he goes, I believe I'm better than him. I believe that I'm the best. I grew up watching him and stuff like that. But now he hasn't done what I did in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I like what he talked about, the speed here in America. He goes, yeah, it's a totally different speed. Over there, it's about the groundwork, and Japanese style wrestling is very different from American wrestling. So it's kind of cool hearing him say, like, yeah, I got to speed up my game a little bit here in the States. So, and then just adding more flames to the fire. And I cannot wait for that match. And I know I've said it before. I'm going to move on now. House of Black versus Brian Keith, Matt Sydal, Christopher Daniels. And it's kind of funny that Christopher Daniels had a match with Malachi Black. Did he have that match before Dynamite or after Dynamite? Like, the tapings of Rampage and stuff like that. Because that must be kind of like, I don't know, if you're going to a live event, I would feel like that would be some spoilers. Being like, oh, yeah, Malachi Black is going to beat Christopher Daniels. House of Black's going to beat these three. I feel bad for Brian Keith because I'm like, he's all elite. And then just fucking bury him. But, of course, Adam Copeland comes out, tricks Malachi Black, and he attacks the House of Black from behind. And then he starts getting beat down, and here comes Mark Briscoe with FTR, and here comes the Young Bucks, and FTR go after the Young Bucks, and they get in the fight, and then it's just a shit show of just everyone's fighting, and there's really no narrative of, like, who I should follow and whatnot. But at the end, FTR, Adam Copeland, and Mark are standing tall, and the House of Black run away, then the Jacksons run away, and that's what we got going on. So a lot of stuff going on in that little bit of TV time we have there. Rocky Romero is talking with Lexi. He challenges Roderick Strong. And, of course, Roderick goes, Rocky! Here comes Undisputed Kingdom with him as well. And he says, hey, man, you can't get this smoke. You don't need this smoke. And I like Roderick. But I think we're going to see Roderick and Rocky next week at some point. I don't know what show. But Lexi is with Jarrah Hook. Then, I don't know why. I felt so bad for Shibata in this whole thing because Jericho's like, yeah, we look great as a tag team. We've got a big win and stuff like that. But, of course, Shane Taylor, there's 3 of them now, and there's only 2 of us. And Hook's like, I got somebody. And he's like, this guy. And Shibata's like, Shibata didn't say anything. He uses his phone. He's like, hello, I can help. We'll get them. Bet. Oh, hearing Jericho say bet is so fucking cringe. Like, yeah, Jericho and my problems keep growing. Sakazaki versus Trish Adora. Sakazaki for the win. Serena Deeb comes out, and I was like, oh, and they just cut it so goddamn quick to Trent and Orange Cassidy package. And I was like, oh. Like, she comes out and just does a little clap, and not even, she didn't get all the claps. She just got a couple, and they cut her real quick. And I was like, oh, does that mean we're setting up these two? Garcia and Daddy Magic cut a promo saying they want to be more in this company. They want to be champions. They want theirs. So, and they're going to get theirs as best as possible and having each other's back. And Joe does respond to Dustin. After Claudio versus The Butcher, fun match. Claudio got the win. Then I was just wondering this too. Blackpool Combat Club, we really haven't done anything with them. I really thought about that. I was like, Blackpool Combat Club, like they're all split. John Moxley's not there. He's on vacation or something. But yeah, I don't know. Julia Hart talks about Willow, and he says, Mercedes Moné doesn't want any of this. I am Julia Hart, the queen of the Black Throne. I really like this promo. Then Joe responds afterwards, and he says, hey, I like how I bet Joe told Tony, like, hey, I'm not going to have him face me for the championship. We don't just give out championship matches here. So he cuts a promo and tells Dustin, like, hey, I'll face you, and if you beat me, which you're not. If you beat me, maybe I will consider you a number one contender. And we're going to get Dustin Rhodes versus Samoa Joe. And I don't see Dustin beating Samoa Joe. So I just feel like this is another waste of time and another waste of Dustin Rhodes, Like, I don't know. A lot of stuff in this show is frustrating. And I will say, no offense to Will Ospreay, I saw this comment by Punk where they talked about the attendance on WrestleMania weekend, and someone's like, oh, there's this many people here, and Punk just gradually just goes, are you gonna get it tattooed on yourself? And I was like, woohoo. Yeah, because if you don't know, Will got the attendance tattooed and found out that wasn't really the attendance of All In London. But I thought that was a nice little jab. And I seen people comment. I seen this one dude on TikTok like, oh, why does this guy keep talking about AEW? AEW is doing the same thing. This is where I like the lines between an AEW fan, a WWE fan, or just a pro wrestling fan, especially if they're a hardcore AEW fan. They go, oh, well, they're mentioning us. Punk keeps... I'm like, AEW does the same thing. They do the same exact thing, but more bluntly on TV and stuff like that. I know that was a nice little jab, and that was on an ESPN thing. I believe Punk was on that where he did that comment. But and that person is like, oh, I'm like, then now they're gonna show footage and try to get everyone to catfish for this footage that the Bucks have. Oh God, it's frustrating being a pro wrestling fan. Then afterwards, we have our main event, Penta versus Commander. Fun match, great match. You knew these two were going to go at it. But Penta got the win, and here comes Adam. And Adam Copeland's looking down Penta. And we're hyping this match for next week. And it's funny how we hype these things, and I'm just like, Adam's going to win. It's going to probably be a banger. Adam's probably going to get a banger out of Penta for that match next week, but it's so like, I see these matches and I'm like, I already know who's going to win. But I guess we got to enjoy the ride, right? That's why we watch movies a bunch of times, rewatch movies and stuff. We already know the end, but we just got to get on the ride and see where it takes us. So, all right, y'all. Well, that's it. That's all. 3 out of 5 for this Collision. April 6th, 2024. Next week, we got three hours of AEW because they have the Battle of the Belts. Got Dynasty coming up, so a lot of stuff going on with AEW. I'm very interested and can't wait to cover what's going to go on with this unseen footage from All In. That's it. That's all. Like and subscribe. Share with your grandma. Share with your grandpa. Share with the bum down at Walmart. I am KMB the Sexy Ninja. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com/New World Podcast. Get yourself that sweet nWp logo created by Penta X. And remember that the New World Podcast is for life, brother.
I'm calling you out, Bonnie lad. So let's see how big your bollocks are. Do you think you can survive the bastard?